Now this is where it gets really exciting. We are starting to see for the first time legalization initiatives. Not just decriminalization initiatives, but full-blown legalization initiatives. Wow. Where are psychedelics legal? All right. Hey y'all, it's Chrysanthus, and thanks for coming back to another Reddit Trips video. Today we are going to be getting a little into something that y'all ask about, which is where can you journey legally? Where are the psychedelics that I talk about legal to enjoy without threat of law enforcement and years to life in prison? And y'all might be thinking, yeah, years, sure, but life? Yeah, there are countries where if you are caught with any amount of these medicines, you will get life in prison. So if you're new, welcome. We are a realm dedicated to psychedelics and sacred plant medicine, all about demystifying and destigmatizing the trip. I ask this at the beginning of every video, but if y'all get a kick out of this or learn something new, please consider subscribing. Every sub is greatly appreciated. Let's get into it.
The following video is made for the purpose of education and harm reduction. We are not promoting the use, procurement, or possession of any plant medicine or substance. We encourage everyone to do further research and prioritize safety.
I felt we could start with something hopeful. I thought we could start with some hope, you feel me? So throughout the world, magic mushrooms are, for the most part, illegal. But there are exceptions to every rule. So let's talk a little bit about those exceptions. Right now, as I'm making this video, it is 2/2/22, February 2nd, 2022. These laws are constantly changing, so maybe I will update this video and make another one next year. But certain places in the world have totally legalized psilocybin mushrooms. So where am I getting this information outside of Reddit? We're gonna start on Wikipedia. There's an entire Wikipedia page entitled Legal Status of Psilocybin Mushrooms. As I'm scrolling down this page, I'm seeing lots of red, I'm seeing a little bit of yellow, and I'm seeing a sprinkle of green. So it looks like everything is alphabetically organized. It's pretty easy to just scroll to whatever country you're in or curious about. I won't scroll to the United States. I'll tell you first where this is legal. Where am I seeing some greens? I'm seeing some greens across the board in the Bahamas. It looks like right now in the Bahamas, psilocybin containing mushrooms are legal for possession, sale, transport, and cultivation. And after we go over this global picture of things, then I'm going to hop onto Reddit and get a bit more into depth for the US. Bahamas, completely legal. Legal for possession, legal for sale, legal for transport, legal for cultivation. Take me to the Bahamas. Excuse me, I was not aware of that. Magic mushrooms are fully legal in the Bahamas. However, psilocybin and psilocin are controlled substances by the United Nations Convention on Narcotic Drugs. Why are mushrooms still considered narcotics? Like, y'all. I'm about to lose it. Narcotic, drug class, definition. The term narcotic originally referred medically to any psychoactive compound with numbing or paralyzing properties. Y'all, numbing, paralyzing. When have I ever spoke about mushrooms on here and spoken to the numbing effects? Like, in the United States, it has become associated with opiates and opioids, commonly morphine and heroin. So we're taking that and we're just gonna put it in the same basket as plant medicine. Great, love it. All right, back to the Wikipedia because I don't want to spend too much time talking about how ridiculous that classification is because I could go on for days. Brazil, okay. In Brazil, possession, sale, transport, cultivation, all legal. Brazil. It looks like the fungal species themselves in Brazil are legal. They are sold mainly over the internet on specialized websites without facing persecution from Brazilian police. Chill. We have some lessons to learn. Scrolling down, okay, the Caribbean got something going on here because I'm seeing Jamaica, legal. Legal across the board as well. Nepal, legal across the board. Nepal, fully legal. Magic mushrooms are uncontrolled substances in the Everest mountain country. Really? Netherlands, I'm seeing legal as truffle. Truffles are not as potent as the typical Psilocybe cubensis fungus that we've been working with in the US, but still. I'm seeing in Samoa, legal across the board. Wow. Okay, in Thailand, I'm seeing illegal, unenforced in parentheses, respect. And then I'm actually surprised to see in Portugal that it is still illegal, because it was my understanding that drugs were legalized in Portugal. But what I'm seeing is it's illegal but decriminalized. So the drug policy of Portugal has decriminalized the possession of all drugs, but that's just decriminalized. I had a misunderstanding of that situation. Wow. Welcome back to the United States after our Reddit trip. This Redditor asks, are psychedelics legal in the US? Where are they decriminalized? A deep dive into the legal status of psilocybin, MDMA, LSD, ketamine, and more. So this is an editorial link, actually. So let's see this here. Where are psychedelics allowed in the US? So I'm seeing right off the bat, we have Oregon as of 2020. In California, we have Santa Cruz and Oakland. Oakland is another psychedelic capital of our country. I live in Baltimore. We're definitely low-key one. We might not rep it, but we got the studies and communities to back up that claim, all right? The District of Columbia. So psychedelic plants and fungi became decriminalized as of November 2020. So these are all pretty recent, right? I'm seeing Colorado, Denver, Colorado specifically, as of May 2019. Michigan, Ann Arbor. So Ann Arbor is currently the only city in the American Midwest where cultivating, purchasing, transporting, distributing, and engaging in practices with or possessing natural psychedelics is not criminalized, right? So all of these, we're talking about decriminalization. We're not yet at the point of talking legalization, which is, it feels frustrating. It feels frustrating because we already have the science. We already have seen the evidence. We already know the proof. We're being weighed down a bit by the stigmas. All right, Massachusetts in Somerville, Cambridge and Northampton. Interesting. So in 2021, the Boston suburb of Somerville passed a legalization wherein no city funds or resources shall be used to assist in the enforcement of laws imposing criminal penalties for the use and possession of entheogenic plants by adults. I think that this is a solid starting place for a lot of areas and cities and states that want to dip their foot into the legalization pool. So this is basically saying, like, yeah, it's not illegal, but we are not going to allocate any of our precious resources to putting folks behind bars for engaging in it. Where are psychedelics being considered for legalization? Great question. This is saying several US states have recently passed legislation that calls for research around psychedelic molecules. Other states have bills in Congress that could enact further measures around psychedelic legalization. So in California, for example, a bill is being considered that would remove penalties for the possession, personal use, and social sharing of certain natural and synthetic psychoactive drugs, including psilocybin, DMT, ibogaine, mescaline, LSD, ketamine, and MDMA. The vast majority of those, with the exception of ibogaine, which I know can have pretty severe contraindications, even resulting in death in some cases, the vast majority of those are known safe substances. And most of these listed also have no known risk of habit forming. In fact, psychedelics like psilocybin and LSD are known to be anti-addictive, which means the more you take them, the less you want to. And that's something I've experienced myself personally. So I'm seeing that there are bills all across the country right now. I'm seeing Connecticut, Texas, Hawaii. Is that how we pronounce it? I haven't been there before, so I don't want to mispronounce it. Iowa, Maine, Missouri, Vermont, and New York have active bills in their legislation that could bring different levels of decriminalization to certain psychedelic substances. I think this is so important. We do not need to be putting people behind bars for seeking medicine and seeking healing and having a safe time where literally nobody is getting hurt. I don't know how else to say that. It seems really obvious. I think an issue is that folks refer to these substances as drugs, and then they get lumped into this giant mush pile of drugs, that we're familiar with, like things that begin with H and M, as I was talking about before. So I'm seeing in the r/psychonaut Reddit that there is a post about a Colorado ballot initiative filed to legalize psychedelics. This was posted 1 month ago, so this is relatively recent. Colorado ballot initiatives filed to legalize psychedelics. Colorado's 2022 ballot may contain initiatives looking to decriminalize psychedelics, including psilocybin, DMT, mescaline, and ibogaine. should the legislative filings move forward, midterm voters will decide on the establishment of a licensing system for local businesses controlling the regulated production of and access to psychedelic substances for healing centers and other permitted entities. I think that's awesome. Now, this is where it gets really exciting. 2 separate ballot initiatives filed earlier this month, both titled Natural Medicine Healing Act, outline plans first to decriminalize psychedelics and establish a regulatory framework for therapy, and to legalize psilocybin and psilocin while increasing medical access to substances. So we are starting to see for the first time legalization initiatives, not just decriminalization initiatives, but full-blown legalization initiatives. Wow. Let's go, Colorado. I'm trying to come to Colorado. I'm really trying to see what's good in Colorado because y'all are on it. This is really, really exciting. Let's keep our fingers crossed and our candles lit for Colorado. I believe in y'all. Having healing centers that folks from out of state could potentially go to legally would be amazing because it would give folks the opportunity to access the medicine with practitioners who are skilled and experienced in that realm of trip sitting and serving the medicine. It makes me really hopeful to read this. So wow, Colorado, I see you. If you're in Colorado right now, how do folks feel about this? Is this exciting? I can't imagine. Like, if this was going on where I live, I would be freaking out. I would be so hyped. Let me know, Coloradoans. Let me know. And then lastly, let's take it to our neighbors up north. Canada opens new legal pathways for access to psychedelics treatment with psilocybin and MDMA. Now, from my understanding of things, Canada is way more lax on this, even more so than we think. I've had friends who went up to Canada and were able to access medicines like psilocybin-containing mushrooms and even peyote buttons at just the head shops in Canada. And that was understood by law enforcement as what was going on, and nobody was hiding anything. I'm not saying it's like that all over Canada, but the medicine is definitely accessible in a way there that it is not here in the US. We are still in the dark days of this. And I want to take a quick detour to say, within this medicine not being accessible, people are having more dangerous times with trying to obtain this medicine. For example, folks trying to obtain LSD. If LSD was legal and you could go somewhere to legally sit with it, whether that's in a controlled environment with a practitioner, or you're able to purchase it for yourself, similar to how cannabis is. Because we don't have that right now, folks are purchasing edible paper that is referred to as acid. They are taking it without testing it. I highly do not recommend doing that. I recommend buying a test kit. I will link test kits in the description of this video. So all across the country, dangerous research chemicals are sold under the guise of acid. And acid does not mean the same thing as LSD for a lot of folks. So we have to really be careful. And while we do have science and trials behind LSD, less is known about these nameless research chemicals. I mean, some of them have names, but not all of them, to my understanding, are as safe to sit with as LSD. So the more we legalize and decriminalize these experiences, the safer time everyone's going to have, the more verifiable time everybody's going to have in being able to access them. So Canada opens new legal pathways for access to psychedelic treatment with psilocybin and MDMA. I think that's awesome. In a groundbreaking decision, the Canadian government is changing the way patients can access psychedelic therapies with restricted drugs, including MDMA and psilocybin. Through an amendment to federal regulations, Health Canada is now allowing physicians to request access to restricted drugs on behalf of patients through the Special Access Program. I think this is super important. I think this is a great starting place, giving physicians, therapists, etc., the ability to request this should they see it as something that would benefit their patients. Love that. Let's move to the headache that is the United States of America after going through where this is legal. So in the United States, I'm seeing it's illegal across the board. I'm going to be going over each category, so that is possession, sale, transport, and cultivation as of February 2nd, 2022. Again, this is on the Wikipedia page, legal status of psilocybin mushrooms. Starting off with possession, illegal. Possession of psilocybin mushrooms are illegal, but decriminalized in Seattle, Washington, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Denver, Colorado, Oakland, California, Santa Cruz, California, some of these places we had been talking about today, Somerville and Cambridge, Massachusetts, Oregon, and Washington, D.C. Legal in Oregon for mental health treatment in supervised settings since February 1st, 2021. So they are legal, like fully legal in Oregon for mental health treatment. I don't think I caught that earlier. That's really exciting. I think something to keep in mind here, and this is kind of, it goes back to when cannabis was decriminalized, is that there are still federal laws that can impact the safety of seeking out this medicine once they are decriminalized. Next, let's talk about sale. So the sale is illegal everywhere and decriminalized in all of the same places I just listed. So that's the Seattle, Washingtons, the Ann Arbor, Michigans, the Denver, Colorados, and sale is legal in Oregon for mental health treatment in supervised settings, the same. So it looks like this is the exact same for transport. So possession, sale, transport across the board is identical. But interesting enough, cultivation is a bit different. So let's look at the cultivation right quick. Illegal. Grow kits and spores are legal in most states. Full cultivation is decriminalized. In Seattle, Washington, Ann Arbor, Michigan, all of those places we just listed, right? And it's legal in Oregon for mental health treatment in supervised settings. So grow kits and spores are legal in most states. Y'all can fill in the blank. I think that's promising. It's small steps. But anyways, we've seen this with the legalization of cannabis, but federal criminalization and illegality can affect access to these things even when they are decriminalized. But what do y'all at home think? Should psychedelics be decriminalized, or should they be legalized, or both? Para mí, I think that if alcohol is legal, I can't think of too many reasons why magic mushrooms shouldn't be, given that alcohol is legal. Show me the scientific studies on alcohol for treatment-resistant depression. Show me the scientific studies on alcohol for PTSD and anxiety. You catch my drift? The culture is heavy. The stigma is heavier. This is promising, this is hopeful, but we're not where we need to be, in my opinion. Will access to this medicine cause a shift in consciousness that will require the entire country and/or world to reassess the way we're living? I mean, that is yet to be seen. But I wish everyone healing. I wish everyone access to this medicine should they want it. I personally have sat with these medicines, and I don't see too many reasons to keep them illegal, outside of the lasting effects of the war on drugs, of course. But anyways, all of that being said, thank you for watching this video. I hope if you got a kick out of this video, you will consider subscribing to this channel. And you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. The name is Chrysanthus. I also have merch, so you can get your own little keep it trippy thing on our Threadless shop. I design all this groovy merch myself. And yeah, that wraps it up. I hope you have a lovely day wherever in the world you might be. And don't forget to keep it trippy.